the game industry has a problem. It takes the load off of the physics engine, so you can see these LODs at different increments, and in newer versions of Unreal Engine, you can actually smooth it even past that. It's called normal mapping. You put a texture on an object, and you don't have to change the object to match, especially the hitbox, so it makes it a lot more efficient.
Hello everybody, my name is Matt and welcome back to Game Dev Review. Today I'm going to be playing Madison. I do have a confession to make. I haven't really played a horror game since the PS2 era. The Thing was kind of my favorite game at the time. It was great, but I fell into a kind of, assumption that just horror games were cop-outs. The problem is that a lot of entry level indie devs will just kind of throw a horror game together with a bunch of jump scares, and it's just terribly made, and they'll call it a day. I obviously knew that wasn't completely true. There are larger ones that came out. I really enjoyed watching Amnesia, and the Five Nights at Freddy's series obviously is super popular. I really liked Security Breach. So with that being said, The Adventure of Sir Bollington released 4 years ago now in 2022. I'm looking to make a new game now after I've spent the last 4 years working as a full stack developer. And my first thought was maybe I should make a good horror game, something that I can actually build the ambiance, something that I can, kind of experiment with the world building a little bit more. One of my favorite parts of Bollington was just building the level, which was really fun, and that's kind of critical when you're playing something where the player only gets to interact via that kind of general fear. A lot of horror games kind of mix in different mechanics. I haven't played most of them, though, because I'm so kind of old school when it comes to horror games. I don't know what the new tricks are. I don't know what new mechanics are popular. So what I thought I would do is for the next few episodes, I would essentially play a bunch of the new horror games out. And Princess Theo, who I'm going to link her channel down below, she recommended starting with Madison. That's her favorite game, and kind of go from there and see what's happening. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more analytical of this. I'm going to kind of observe things as I go just to see kind of how they built the game. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so I started recording after we got into the main menu, of course. So what you didn't see was during the loading screens and the logos, there was a display that this was made in Unity. I already knew that going into this. That's kind of just a confirmation, but it's really popular with smaller indie studios specifically, just because it's way more user-friendly. There's a lot more entry-level techniques you can use that make the game quickly and easier. The studio is actually an Argentine studio that goes by the name Bloodiest Games. They released this back in 2022 as well. So it came out for Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox, everything pretty much. And so the first thing I obviously am observing is the main menu. So with main menus like this, it's really easy to do because especially Unity has a canvas option that you can kind of just slap over a scene. Doesn't have to be three-dimensional or anything. You can literally just put a recorded video. So one of the tricks that I used for Bollington was I actually built a scene in Unity of a castle with a camera orbiting it. And then I recorded the scene, deleted the scene, and then I put the scene as a video background. That way it wasn't trying to load anything in, it was way more optimized. And that let me use essentially 4K textures when regular players might not be able to support that if they're on an older computer. So these buttons and such, you can literally just throw them in. There's options to highlight and colorations and everything. So based off of the lighting, I'm guessing that this is a scene where they're generating lighting three-dimensionally, or they did the same thing I did where they recorded it. If this is a scene in the game, it would make sense to do the former just because you already have the scene. There's no reason not to. In my case, that level that I built was custom made for the menu, which is why I deleted it afterwards so the assets wouldn't take up the game space. So let's jump in and see what's going on. Okay, so if you look at the two descriptions, that's actually really cool. They change You can see that there's like pictures and such added. I can't quite see what's going on the wall there, but it's definitely changing. And then there's an icon for an eye. So visual hints, photography zones, harder enemies. I'm just going to go with normal. And new game. I've obviously never played this before. I know absolutely nothing about it. One of the things you can do with Unity, which is really cool, is before a player loads into a scene, you can actually load it asynchronously. So essentially, you were in a scene called like the loading scene, but the actual like gameplay scene can be loading while you're in the scene, and you can use that async because essentially, if the think about like games where there's like a really tall ladder and you're climbing up it. You know the player is going to the next section, so you can asynchronously load the next section while they're climbing up the ladder. And that's how a lot of games will do no loading screens.
Oh my God. Oh, my head.
Oh, wow. Okay, they were right into it. That was pretty quick. Okay, so...
Answer me that.
Yeah.
Just answer me that. Your whole family. Your whole blood.
So, there's different lighting that you can do for games. Obviously, there's like directional lighting. You do a light bulb that points in a specific direction, and then the engine will handle light reflections.
What am I gonna do now?
I don't know, your best. But then there's also like an ambiance lighting where you can fill the entire scene with like a general light to sort of fill in the cracks. What a lot of horror games do is they don't use that ambiance light for their entire scene. They might use it for like a room they want to be specifically red, but they rely really heavily on that positional lighting just so that they can like really control the shadows. And what that essentially means is like I can't see into this corner at all. And so that's just like a black spot, and it helps kind of create the scene of like mystery. I don't know what could be hiding in the shadows. That kind of like penetrates, and that gets into the psychology of games as well. Okay, so this mechanic, you click and then you move your mouse in order to open and close the door. What that does is it actually restricts the player because they can't look around while they're opening something. So as soon as I click on this, if there was an enemy behind me, I now have to specifically let off in order to turn around. Or if I'm trying to open the door and quickly get around them, I also can't move right now. I'm locked in place. So if there's an enemy behind me and I'm trying to quickly get in the door, there's now a time crunch. I have to like quickly try to like grab the door, open it, get inside, close the door. So that kind of builds the pressure on the player to be precise. And if the player obviously messes up, they lose, or the enemy gets them. However the game mechanics work as far as that's concerned. As far as interactables go, there's a bunch of different ways you could do it. I'm a fan of vectors. You draw a line from the player's camera directly to the object, and if you're within a certain distance, you can click on it. What a lot of people will do is just being in the general vicinity, you'll get a prompt that you can either click or interact with the object. That's something that's just a little bit easier. Obviously, this game is going for precision. The way that they handled the door, the way that they handled the objects, they really want the player to have to be very deliberate with their actions. That kind of draws the player in. They're more focused, they're more interactable with the game itself. Okay, so you can observe the object, you can rotate it. So I assume there's going to be different clues, maybe codes, things that you can do to observe in order to progress. Yeah, right there. So Luca 567. This thing has a bunch of bloody fingerprints. So getting into the actual game lore itself now. It's covered in blood. I don't see all that much blood here. comparatively, so it doesn't seem like anybody was killed. It was probably, this is where I was laying, of course, so it's probably, maybe I was just clubbed upside the head or something, knocked out. This door is locked, so I can't even open it.
Dad, please. Please talk to me. I don't understand what's going on.
Okay. Familial connections obviously adds a little bit more trauma, adds a little bit more emotion to things.
Dad, stop. You're not making any sense.
Interesting. That actually lights up the room, but you turn it off and everything is dark. So one thing I noticed is obviously the shadows here, that kind of dramatic, you can see there's a person on the other side. Obviously, if you can hear crying, you know there's a person there, but it's a little bit different as far as like emotions of the player go when you can like see these kind of shadows, the unknown. He could be completely out there, psychotic, covered in blood, holding an axe, we wouldn't know. But the other thing is that this white noise is kind of a... I don't know about everybody else, but for me, white noise is kind of unsettling. So the instinct to turn it off is combating with the instinct that I need light. But you can actively choose it off, and I can kind of like feel myself mentally calm down when I click that. So, rotate. Oh, you can rotate that. That's interesting. So what am I... Okay, so I can shine that into the shadows now. So, what am I doing with this? Does it matter? This could just be a mechanic to kind of teach you something as well. A lot of games will like add things to beginning scenes to... While they're not necessarily useful, it's something you can play around with.
I have to find a handle.
Okay, so I found a letter. Your cousin Romeo. If my cousins were going to be writing me a letter, they would just write their name. I don't know why. That's just kind of backstory. I'm missing something. There's something around here that I haven't seen. Oh, there's something under the couch. That'd probably be useful. Let's point the light there. Okay, so there's the handle. Yeah, just no grooves. Okay. So open that. We get a hammer. Okay. So this is kind of... I refer to it as Metroidvania. I'm not sure if that's the actual term, but essentially you find clues or pieces or tools that open up a new area, and then that area opens up a new area. There's a lot of times a crossback. You have to progress the story before you can come back to an entry area where you then are able to open or close something.
You are not my son! You are not my son.
Thanks, Dad.
Please be right. What an idiot I was.
Okay. I like that as you go forward, you can actually hear the muffled sound. That's pretty nice addition. There's not really a built-in way to muffle sounds. It's not like the game engine can support just like... It doesn't automatically do that for you. It can do proximity where like the further away it gets quieter, but they don't really do that kind of like muffling.
Maybe I can get out through Grandpa's house.
So that's something custom that they would have to do. It's really cramped in here. That's probably to give the fear of like claustrophobia. So really rapidly, I mean, they're doing the dark, they're doing claustrophobia, things kind of falling around you, the white noise. You can see they're kind of building up all of the different fears that people might have. Plates and decorations, we got pictures. This is kind of building up a sense of history that this house has been around for a while. You can see they're reusing assets. These plates are the same, just kind of shifted around. The fuck is that? Okay, so this is kind of supernatural now because this thing just cropped out of nowhere. Sudden loud noise, creaking door, standard, you know, jump scare you with the noise, and you can hear the door creaking behind you. It gives you the sense that someone might be there. This is from the intro scene. Okay, so that makes sense. I'm gonna keep checking down here really quick. So I know pictures are gonna be a thing, so I'm probably gonna get a camera at some point. Okay. Just kind of looking around at the wires.
It must be broken.
I mean, it is ancient.
My birthday present?
Okay.
How did it get here?
So that Luca 789 is his name. Oh, interact. Okay. There's the camera. The interesting thing is that letter said it was sent in like 2017 or some number. This all is implying that the game is a lot older, that the world is a lot older. I mean, very few people use those kinds of like snap cameras anymore. Granted, I guess, you know, getting an iPhone to take pictures with doesn't build the same kind of ambiance.
It was just like that.
Okay. 1968. So, hold the camera and shoot.
What?
And you can shake it. Okay. That's kind of cool. It's dark, so you would take a picture to light the area. Okay, so now you're getting the player dependent on that just for light. Yeah. Okay. So adding a resource to the game, such as a flashlight or some sort of like weapon, is a really common way to get the player dependent on something. And you do that in a way that, like, it's their reliance, it's their lifeline. And you can then choose to take it away. You need to do that carefully, though, because if you take away someone's flashlight in a game where that's the only thing they have, you can't just give it back to them. I mean, you could, but now it's like, okay, we got a flashlight that they can take at any time. You've lost that kind of connection with the player, the trust that was built. So if you were going to do something like that, it needs to be carefully done in a way that either they won't need it anymore or in a way that will kind of crescendo to the end. Oh, I can grab it. That makes sense. So I find myself leaning forwards to read a little bit better, and I wonder if they're going to use that at some point, kind of draw the player in closer to the screen just so that they can, like, then be jump scared. So obviously they're doing some sort of investigation or something. There's a TV that you can see through here. So I can take this back. I guess the TV probably just turned on. Yeah. Can't really see, but you can hear it. Let's put you
I should
up.
find a nail or something to hang it with.
Uh-huh. Ah, nail. Now I take a picture? Okay, yep, now I take the picture. Oops. Well, I didn't look at the picture, but I suppose probably doesn't matter. That's the key to the door. Door disappeared. That makes sense. Open the door. Okay, so serial killer. So
What the hell has Dad been doing
Madison
here?
was the serial killer? No, someone killed her. Serial killer killed her. I don't believe that. I think like Madison was the serial killer. Yeah, Madison Hale dumped her victims. Madison agonized a few hours. Oh, they're saying that as the serial killer, she agonized. Well. Okay. Unless the officer was the serial killer. I ain't reading all that.
Grandpa's house. I haven't been here since he died.
I know a lot of people are really into the lore. Maybe it's just because I'm a programmer, but I'm really into the mechanics, the things that are like fun in the game. That was a noise. See, the smart thing is to not turn to the noise, because that's when they kill you.
Fuck. This storm must have taken up the power.
Wow, that's really terrifying.
I think Grandpa had a generator in the basement.
Okay, who has these red emergency lights in their house? And back to dark room. And I didn't really see that because the flash is so fast, but I'm sure one of these times I'm going to look at this picture and say, hey, there was a person standing there. And then maybe I'll take another picture and there's nobody standing there. That's just a bathroom. Okay.
Ugh, it smells awful.
Yeah, because it hasn't been fucking
Pipes must be
cleaned.
clogged.
Yeah, not even just clogged. Look at the bathroom. The bathroom is disgusting. Oh man, I hate the dark. I don't hate the dark because I'm scared of the dark. I hate the dark because I'm blind. Maybe it's a control thing, like being in control. That would explain why the games rely so heavily on it. Lack of control for the player. And that goes back to the mechanic of opening and closing doors where you're stuck. So it's trying to make the player feel helpless. There's just a breaker box. I can go up or down. Oh. Huh. I mean, I guess, 50% chance of finding each one. You don't really need it. Simple puzzles like that. I wonder if there's a clue somewhere or if it's really just you guess it. That seems dangerous. Why would you have a moving thing on the outside of a generator that could catch on anything? Make sure I didn't miss anything down here, I guess. I can't go through. I can go through here. That's what I missed. It was so narrow, I just assumed it was just a crawl space area. One thing you see, the game is obviously darker here. You can't see. As you get closer, it suddenly lights up. So the player itself has a kind of light-emitting aura around them. It kind of is like a fake, because obviously if you're close up on something in the dark, sometimes you can see it better. That's not always the case if it's completely dark, but that's kind of a way to like make it a little bit more realistic, maybe a little bit easier on the players even. And it's locked. Okay. Well, I'm going to call it there. I got to get to work, so I'm just going to go do that. I'll jump back in and try to figure out what I'm missing. So, yeah, let me know if I missed anything, or if you maybe see some mechanics that I didn't talk about, something you're maybe interested in. Let me know. Have a good one.